Hey everybody, just Mongo here, back on the deck profile. Today we're doing a deck profile on Odion Fiendsmith. This is a very fun deck, pretty cheap. Unfortunately it does automatically pretty much lose the draw, but the deck is very fun. I've been playing it for a little bit. It's very easy to play. But before we get into that, don't forget to hydrate, otherwise you'll fucking die. Anybody getting into it, of course. I'm on like 60 card build. You can of course play the Protos engine, which consists of Protos, Flame Banshee and Extra, and Flag and Main. It's a pretty neat engine that you can pretty much access through mainline combo with not much hardships. It's pretty neat. You can also play Jank as well with the OG circuits and the Last Word from the Planet. I'm not playing them, I'm just playing the very basic Odion Fiendsmith deck. Starting off, we have the man, the myth, the marked man, the man with the mark. On normal summon, this guy can search out for the Treasure of the Kings. We're also playing 2 copies of Anubis, the Last Judge. You could play 3 if you want. His main purpose here is to discard himself as a cost to search for a man with the mark from the deck. He's also pretty neat in the grind game. This deck kind of does struggle with consistency in seeing your starters. So if you really want to, you can play a 3rd Anubis if you want. I think 2 is fine. And then 1 copy of Merciless Scorpion of Circuit. You only need 1. This is part of mainline combo. This is what you search off of your Treasure of the Kings, and this also searches for your Temple of the Kings. Of course, on the Engraver, the Lacrimon, the Lurie, very standard Fiendsmith combo. Spells run 3 copies of Treasure of the Kings. On activation, this thing sets an Apophis trap directly from your deck. Also, if you have 2 or more back row or a trap in the yard, you can actually search for the circuit. Also playing the 1 copy of Temple of the Kings. This thing pretty much just lets you activate a trap that turns set, so you're going to be activating the Serpent Apophis. It also has a secondary effect that combos with the OG circuit to let you summon the Last Word from their planet, which is a weird little thing you can do if you want to run some jank. We're also playing the 2 copies of Tract and the 1 Terraforming. Thinking about cutting a Tract and instead running a Sanct, just because this deck kind of does suck against Droll. So, in theory, it can come up a lot. I think Tract's fine, probably. Traps, we're playing 2 copies of Apophis the Serpent, the 2 Apophis the Swamp Deity, and the 1 copy of Statue of Anguish Pattern. I actually don't have a 2nd copy of the Apophis Serpent, so we're going to pretend I have a 2nd copy here. The reason why we're on 2 and 2 is because, unfortunately, they can't grab each other off of from hand or anything like that. So this is the one that you set off of the Temple of the Kings, and then this thing actually sets this, which lets you use it this turn. The turn set, which is really cool. Unfortunately, we have to play 2 and 2. These are kind of bricks, pretty much. All these traps are pretty much bricks. You don't really want to draw them. That's why we're playing 2 copies of each. It's also cool for the grind game. It does come up fairly often. This is typically the one that will set off of the Rabbit Hat. I was playing as a Rune statue for a little bit. I wasn't loving it a ton, just because we make Caesar pretty much every game. So this thing's a neat thing. It just pops pretty much. You can also just loop it as well, which is neat. Non-engine, we're playing Call By, Cross Out, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Droll, 3 Fua, and 3 Nibiru. These are very high impact traps, these 3. We're also playing the Nibiru because it's nice for engine as well. Because Circuit has to banish a level 10 from hand or deck, I believe. Nibiru is level 10, of course. There's also a really neat combo you can do with the Nemesis cards, where Flag can actually add this thing back to your hand at some point. So if your opponent does break your board, which is a little unlikely, you can at least have a fallback on it. Going into extra, we're on the Desiree, the Necroquick Princess. We're on Duke of Demise. I was testing it earlier, but there wasn't a ton of targets to use for him. Duke is at least, you can use the Anubis card Engrave as, material for this, because it just mentions Fiends. It just gives you a 2nd normal summon for, a 2nd ban, I guess. It's fine, there's just nothing really to put in this slot, so he's just the best piece of the puzzle for now. We're playing the one Divine Serpent Apophis. This thing can be specialed with a contact fuse by tributing 2 Apophis traps you control. Also, he can set up to 3 Apophis traps from your grave to your back row. He's also another level 6. This deck has a lot of level 6s in it, so you can make Caesar pretty easily, not just with like Fiendsmith stuff and Princess, which is really neat. We're of course playing the Chaos Angel, the DD, the Sky Crisis, we're playing the Moon, Requiem, Sequence, Agnum Day. That's pretty much it for like the Fiendsmith stuff here. We're playing Link Spider, Solo Hat Rabbit, SP, and Access Code Talker. I have seen a lot of different builds play like Super Poly or like what the fuck is it? Ultimate Slayer. Ultimate Slayer is pretty good along with Super Poly. Super Poly is a little bit format dependent in my opinion. Like I don't think it's amazing right now. It takes up a lot of extra deck space, which we could be utilizing. Because this deck surprisingly does utilize some pretty quirky things. But this deck is pretty solid in my opinion. There's a couple flex spots, like the Agnum Day and the Talker. Like you could cut those. We're playing Link Spider because the traps summon themselves as normal monsters. And you do need an effect monster for some things, like Silhouette, for example. Combo. Very basic combo here. We're just going to assume that we have a copy of Man with a Mark, and let's just say any spell trap we can set in back row. Say an Imperm, for example. Go to normal summon Man with a Mark. Main effect to grab treasures. Activate treasures here to search ourselves a copy, or to set ourselves a copy of Apophis, the Serpent. Set our copy of Imperm in the back. Activate the secondary effect because we control 2 in back row. We're going to search ourselves a copy of Circuit. Circuit in hand, banish in the bureau, in order to summon itself. Activate the effect to grab a copy of Temple of the Kings, which will then activate. Now, a couple different things you can do here. Of course, you can go for the Fiendsmith line is typically what I do, just to bait out anything. Then commit with a Solo Hat Rabbit at the end or whatever. I will a lot of times go into a Caesar just because Caesar is pretty decent in my opinion. A lot of games I've been playing with this. Caesar is definitely just a solid card. So then we're going to use Temple of the King's ability to let us activate the Apophis Serpent. Turn it set, Apophis Serpent. We'll then set ourselves a copy of Swamp Deity from our deck. And it can be, of course, be used to turn it set off of the ability of it. We're then going to link these 2 in for a copy of actually, I lied. We're actually going to link this off first for a copy of Link Spider, so that we have an effect monster. Then we'll link that Link Spider off in the man for a copy of Moon. Link that Moon off for a Requiem Tribute. We're to summon ourselves a copy of Lackrum from the deck. I know you guys have seen this combo a million times, but we just gotta go through it. Send the Engraver effect to shuffle back the Closed Moon to the deck to summon itself back. I can either go for the very basic Fiendsmith combo here. Since we also have Circuit on the field as well, we can also go for a Caesar and also a Desiree here if we so wanted, or a Caesar or a Solo Hat Rabbit, depending what end board we want to really end on here. I think for this though, we're going to equip this, the Requiem, contact fuse those 2 off for a copy of Princess. We'll then take those 2, overlay them for a copy of Caesar. We'll then special the Apophis from our back row. And then we'll attempt to go into a copy of Fiendsmith Sequence. Sequence effect here. Or to go and banish or recycle our 3 Light Fiends in order to make ourselves a copy of Desiree. Then sequence effect, equip the Desiree to equip the back row, which is a okay end board. Of course, we end on Caesar and the Desiree, which is untargetable and with the 2 negates, as well as the back row whatever we set, which in this case is the Infirm. This end board's fine, but I will show you what you can do instead of going to the Fiendsmith line instead. So let's just go with the board that we had before, where it was those two. And then the Lacrima and the Requiem are in Gravestone. So this is pretty much pre-Caesar at this moment. Pretty much what we're going to do here is go for 2 of these for a copy of Caesar. Then we use these other 2 to go into a copy of Silhouette Rabbit, because they're both effect monsters. Silhouette Rabbit effect in order to search ourselves a copy of a continuous trap monster. Of course, we're going to search the Anguish pattern, set that to our back row, and then pass to the opponent. Pretty interesting setup here. Of course, we have the Imperm that we set before. We also have a Pop, as well as a Silhouette Rabbit, which also has an effect when a trap monster is summoned, as well as the Caesar. So yeah, this deck is super easy to learn. Has a couple different lines which I think are really interesting here. It's also very splashable with different engines. Of course, I mentioned the Protoss engine, and as well as the circuit, the OG circuit with the Last Warrior stuff. But there's also the other stuff, like the Super Poly, the Ultimate Slayer stuff, where I think it's just a really interesting deck that I don't think... I think it's worth exploring a little bit. It's also very cheap to get into. Again, this entire deck was like $15 max. But anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about it. Yeets.